Yes, ma'am.
I Miss Brown. I miss your calling when you was around, but I talked to you on the phone.
Yes,
I do have my paper, but
okay.
one place trying to come to the meeting, I will find out about it just before it started.
Yes, ma'am.
On our last election, there was, like someone was saying, there was a problem with the signature. I had this young man that they housed him, and because he was doing like absentee. And they have like, some people have fear. I don't fear God. Anyway, but he was so fearful. They said they kept calling him saying that it was his signature. So he did get up and go, and I guess he did a signature there, and they said, oh, okay, it's all right. So they did accept his application. But when I went down all the time during the week, like to take absentee ballots. When I first went, I don't know what they said, but I asked him, I said, wait. I said, now, I took that class. Do I need to take it over again? He says, no, you don't need to take the class over again. You know, he just went blah, blah, blah. And so they got used to me coming, you know. And I would go, and even where they are, you know, I would be outside, you know. And he said, well, come in, Miss Brown, you can come in. I was like, no, I have to have permission to come in. They finally put up a little thing, so you do have to wait. But I am the one, so one of them, Charles. I went down, and then another investigator came in. I was like, well, what's going on? I had to take an absentee ballot down. He said, well, you know, when you find that mistake, I said, you know how to put it right there. He said, well, when you find that mistake about the ballot, said, you know, that's why the investigators and stuff were going around. I said, well, I was just puzzled at night when I was doing mine, and I don't know what it was, but I was like, I just can't figure it out. My husband said, I'll do mine tomorrow. And the next day I got up and I started to fill it out, and I noticed the names were missing. So I went on down and I was telling him, well, he had me to shred mine down there, but my neighbor said she's going to keep hers because it's evidence. But he said that, I said, you know, maybe a sample ballot. He started pulling it up, and I said, no, she looked just like that one. So he asked Charles, and Charles handed a sheet of, like the tablet there, through the window. I said, there it is right there. He said, oh, okay. He said, well, you know, he was going to do it. I said it was Lee Street, and it was the street over. Culpeper, it was only a half side of Culpeper. Because after we finished Lee Street, there were those on Culpeper that ballots were wrong. So they worked all that weekend to get Lee Street new ballots out. Because I was telling him, I said, because even with this, I don't know if they have mailed their ballot. It just so happened I found it. Whether or not they get a chance to vote properly, what. And so he says, we're going to take it. So they said it worked all weekend, and ballots were sent out. And then I went back, I told him, I said, well, the people on Culpeper Street said theirs are not right. And he shows me this map. Well, when they redistrict, or when they redid something on the map, and that's where the problem. And you tell, no, he told me when we was talking about that. I said, because I know for a fact some people are down the ballot. He said, well, you know what? So you can go around and you can tell them not, I'm going to send another ballot out, but they need to bring that ballot down here. I said, well, how are they going to bring the ballots down? That's what I did absentee for some of them. Some of them elderly, some of them don't have transportation. Do you expect me to bring them? You know, I'm not getting paid for this. And he says, I don't remember if he told me, yes, I could work. But I was saying, I don't get paid for doing it, you know. And these people that I went around to, I had to go back around to them and just tell everybody, well, okay, hold up, don't do the ballot if you have not done it. But then my concern was, as they were talking about, the ones that had gotten the ballots, and the ones that I caught, and the ones that were going to the polls, like he said, that didn't know, or some of them just voted. They didn't know whether it's on or not. They just voted whatever came up. But he was trying real hard to be concerned about it, and you know, he talked, and I listened some, and some I didn't. Because I just told him one day, I said, you know what, I would have yours, but I think I could do a better job. Because if they got people there, these there are those, the ones that's going to send it out. You don't just send something out. I'm sure you got somebody that has the check behind you. Because I check behind myself 2, 3 times or whatever. But if I do it, and you're here, I think you need to check too, and somebody's going to check if you trained and know what you're doing. So I don't know, because I just asked him, you know, like I asked him, I said, what's going on? And the other investigator, he said, well, I come down all the time. And he was in and out the office all that day. And he came by, and Miss Darren was there, and she asked him for his card. He said, I don't have a card. He said, I got an old one. He gave her an old card. I forgot what his name was. But we was standing out by the little door that you can't go back in there. But they tried to be nice, but it's just making a mistake like that when really we should have known better, or it should have been, they should have checked behind each other. What are they there for?
Yes, sir.
Okay, once again, it's going to take less than 60 seconds. I made a statement a few minutes ago, and I just want to know that I'm just informed that they don't make $5,000 a year. So my point is that I just wanted to say it for the record that I'm the former president of the local NAACP. I didn't get no salary at all, and I did know Robert's Rules of Order. That's my point. Is that regardless of how much you get, you at least ought to know Robert's Rules of Order if you're going to chairman. That's all.
One thing I want to bring up from the last election that is very significant is the fact that the incumbents who ran for office were declared the winners before they even counted the absentee ballot. When the absentee ballot was counted, they lost. But until it was brought to their attention, they either wasn't going to bring them up, or for whatever reason, whether they mistakenly forgot about it, but they had declared that the incumbents were winner without counting the absentee ballot. And that was very suspicious.
You talk about the 2010 election.
I'm sorry, go ahead. That's right.
My name is China Maxwell.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Collins called to my house and told me to tell my husband to withdraw from being county commissioner. And I asked him why. He couldn't tell me why, but I found out why. He went to the tax assessory office and pulled my husband's record. I don't think he ate it.
Okay.
See, add more to that, and then what happened, and then I called back down there, and he told me that I needed to come down to the tax board. And when I got there, you understand, it was Ken was there, the chairman of the board of the election was there, Mr. Robert Marshall, who was the chairman of the Democratic Party was there, and we had a guy by the name of Bobby Zumick. And Bobby Zumick, you understand.
Stop you for 1 second. Tell me again who was present.
Who was present at that board was Ken Collins.
Okay.
Who was the chairman of the election board?
Nancy Duncan.
Nancy Duncan,
Okay.
Robert Marshall, and Bobby Zumick. That's Z-U-M-I. You understand? And this Robert Zumick, you understand, was representing. He's part of the Harvest L. Moore Senior Foundation, which is a 501c3 organization in Dalston, and he was representing a concerned citizen concerning my due taxes, my taxes.
Let me jump in with him so he can finish.
Yeah.
Mrs. Zumick is part of Harvey Moore Foundation in another county. Now, it just so happens that Ken Collins' previous job was at WGOV, where Harvey Moore Sr. was his boss. It's kind of convenient that the place that he used to work for, in that foundation that he was part of at one time, he did work in that foundation, came across county lines, all of a sudden looking at this man's tax records from another county, has no dealings with Brooks County, but the same organization that Ken was involved with, I'm not saying he was a board member, but was involved with, conveniently comes across lines to look at this man's record, tax records. See, he's stepping over his boundaries. And I know for a fact Ken worked there because I used to be the general manager at GOV at one time. So I know, because Harvey Moore worked for me at one time. So I know the whole history of it. So see, this is another way of retaliating. He tried to retaliate at Mr. Mr. Maxwell. He had no business discussing anything in Brooks County to somebody in Lowndes County about this man's background. When he left that job, he's supposed to leave that job there when he left that office. And this is the form of retaliation that we got going on in Brooks County. And that's nuts.
Then he tells me, add to that, when I got there, what happened, these people, you understand, was in the room. And when I got there, Mr. Ken Collins, you understand, handed me, across the desk, my tax bill. He said, Mr. Maxwell, is this your tax bill? I said, yeah. Like I'm saying, what are you doing? You the election supervisor, what you doing with my taxes in your hand? Then he said, well, we found out, you understand, that you did not pay your 2011 taxes. I said, you mean a piece of property, you understand, that I deeded back over to the AME church in 210? That's my lawyer's handling that. He said, what? I said, my lawyer is handling that. Lawyer Copeland, you understand, and Valdosta is handling that. I no longer own that. He said, well, it's still in your name. And I said, well, then maybe the paperwork is just slow. But anyway, he tells me, he said, well, I said, quitclaim deed was already in process. He said, well, what you need to do, this Ken Collins, is produce to me a copy of the quitclaim deed stating that the property is no longer in your name. And I said, yeah. I said, so what? He said, well, if this does not happen on the night of the election, I'm going to have to put up a big sign in the voting booth stating that every vote, you understand, that is cast in your name will not count. And I said, what you say? What happened?
I thought he was the board of elections, John. I didn't know he was the guy.
I know that.
He took the Secretary of State right out of it. Y'all, you don't even need a job. Ken Collins is doing your job. He's doing the Secretary of State's job. He took you completely out of the equation.
That's right.
May I make a statement?
Uh-huh.
What hurts me, my county commissioners, Mr. S.O. Jones, Mr. Joe Wingate, and Mr. Howard Lawson, find nothing wrong with this. They find nothing wrong with this. How much can one community endure to have the right to have our votes cast and counted for who we want to represent us?
Anybody else wants to bring up anything else?
I would like to say, I know there's nothing to write down, but I want to thank you for coming. I really do. I think this is something that has been needed for a long time. And I'm hoping that it is weighed, pursued, and some type of correction action taken that we can actually say that it is a first step, baby step maybe, toward the right process to give the people of Brooks County and Lowndes County faith in the electoral process once again, especially those people like Mr. Maxwell, who I understand was wounded in Vietnam and almost lost his life. And so I'm hoping that this is not just a meeting, and I believe that you are sincere, and I just hope that it don't get lost in the cosmos of the political arena that are now prevalent in our nation. Thank you very much for coming.
Yes, sir.
We're
Can I
going to
just
send,
say
what I'm going to do is be able to send you a tape, a CD up, because when Ken Collins, you understand, realized he had got himself in a lot of trouble.
Yes,
You
sir.
understand? Ms. Cox, you know, from Valdosta, called him up and told him, what in the world you think that you've done? What he did, he immediately, you understand, called up Lawyer Copeland. And he left a voice message on Lawyer Copeland's phone, apologizing to Lawyer Copeland and to Commissioner Maxwell, you understand, that he overstepped his bound. But I have a copy, You understand? Of that information, we will make sure that you get a CD.
Okay.
We're gonna file, we're gonna forward up to you, okay? So you all can listen to it, okay?
And one other